how to change your habits and your life. What are habits? Habits are routines of behavior that happen outside of conscious mindfulness. Many habits are useful, in that they help you manage your time and complete vital and routine everyday tasks. A significant number of people confess to being agitated by annoying habits at some point in their life, and many attempt to dispose of them. How many of your friends begin the new year loaded with high aims to kick an annoying habit, only to surrender before the end of January? Perhaps this has happened to you as well. Do you have a habit you would like to eliminate? Is your habit your servant or your master? Are you aware that ultimately, your habits determine your future? Regardless of what you may yearn for in life, you don't simply drift into the life you desire. You need to create what you want by taking action towards your goals. Ask yourself about the habits you have developed. Some will be useful habits, in that they are consistent with your values, while other habits are unhelpful and don't serve your life objectives. Ending a habit requires determination. Habits differ from addictions, since the will can control them, while addictions are negative practices that are not under the command of the will. Many individuals cling to unhelpful habits because they meet an essential emotional need as a reward. Habits are not innate. Rather, they are learned and influenced by the environment through a process known as reinforcement, reward. Consider the reward you get from the habit you wish to drop. Do you have the self-control to forego this and make a change? In 2005, the late author David Foster Wallace imparted the following wake-up call to a group of graduating undergraduates. There are these two young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" The two young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other and goes, "What the heck is water?" He was reminding the students that, much like those fish, our lives are controlled by factors we never fully see. Our habits, those negligent, automatic decisions that surround us every day. They dictate how we get dressed in the morning and fall asleep at night. They influence what we eat, how we work together, and whether we exercise or have a beer after work. Each of our habits has another purpose and offers a unique result. Some are simple, and others are complex, drawing upon emotional triggers and offering subtle neurochemical rewards. However, each habit, regardless of its complexity, is malleable. The most dependent alcoholic can become sober. The most dysfunctional families can transform themselves. A high school dropout can become a successful executive. Changing habits is not merely an issue of resolve, despite what you've likely learned. Of course, we all have habits we've attempted to break and failed, and good habits we've tried to acquire and dropped. But the primary obstacle to change for most people is not a lack of determination. It's a lack of understanding of how habit works. As it turns out, habits all change in somewhat the same way. When an individual stops smoking, or an organization changes collective behavior to improve its safety standards, there are certain universal patterns at work. During their extensive studies of the underpinnings of habit in the 1990s, researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology discovered a simple neurological loop at the core of every habit. All habits, it turns out, consist of three parts. The first part of the habit loop is the cue or trigger. This is the signal that tells your brain to go into autopilot mode and initiate the habit. Cues can be anything from a certain time of day, a specific location, an emotional state, or even the presence of certain people. The second part of the habit loop is the routine or behavior itself. This is the actual habit that you want to change. It could be anything from biting your nails, smoking a cigarette, reaching for unhealthy snacks, or procrastinating instead of working on important tasks. The third and final part of the habit loop is the reward. This is the positive reinforcement that your brain craves and associates with the behavior. Rewards can be physical, such as the pleasure you get from eating a sugary treat, or psychological, such as the feeling of accomplishment after completing a task. To change a habit, you need to understand and manipulate these three components. Here's a step-by-step process to help you change your habits and ultimately change your life. Identify the habit you want to change. Be specific about the habit you want to break or adopt. Write it down and make it clear in your mind. Analyze the habit loop. Take a closer look at the cue, routine, and reward associated with your habit. What triggers the habit? What is the behavior itself? And what do you get out of it? Find alternative routines. Instead of trying to eliminate a habit altogether, focus on replacing the routine with a healthier or more beneficial one. For example, if you're trying to quit smoking, find an alternative activity to engage in when you feel the urge to smoke, like going for a walk or chewing gum. Experiment with different rewards. The reward is what reinforces the habit, so it's essential to find alternative rewards that are equally satisfying. If you're trying to cut back on unhealthy snacking, for instance, find other ways to reward yourself, such as treating yourself to a relaxing bath or indulging in a favorite hobby. Create a plan and set reminders. Changing habits requires consistency and conscious effort. Develop a plan that outlines how you will implement the new routine and set reminders to prompt yourself until it becomes automatic. Surround yourself with support. Let your friends and family know about your goal to change your habits. Seek support from those who can encourage and hold you accountable throughout the process. Practice mindfulness. Be aware of your thoughts and actions as you go about your day. Mindfulness can help you catch yourself in the act of engaging in old habits and give you an opportunity to make a conscious choice to change. Celebrate small victories. Recognize and celebrate each milestone along the way. Breaking or adopting a habit is not an overnight process, so acknowledge and reward yourself for progress made. Remember, changing habits takes time and effort, but with persistence and a solid plan, you can transform your habits and ultimately transform your life.